What up, Colony? These are the voice memos on my phone that I recorded on Friday, the day one of Lobstercon. First one's a fun one, a chat with the Eternal Durdles guys. And after that, just some match recaps. They could be interesting, they could be boring to you, but I recorded them and they were just kind of fun to do. So, yeah, enjoy.
Okay, with the discussion of light drug use.
Should be.
It plays into the story.
Heavy drug use is mandatory.
Oh, good. Well, then,
But first, please introduce yourself.
Yes. So, hello, I'm Zach Clark of the Eternal Durdles podcast. Story of the weekend so far is our friend Tim. When I got onto the train first in Philadelphia, we met Tim in Newark with Adam and Eric handed Tim a 100 milligram gummy.
Yes.
Which he
100?
took. Yeah, 100. Which he took.
Wait, 100.
100.
I take 4 at a time.
400?
No, 4.
I was like, whoa.
Wait, no, you got 100 milligrams?
100.
Like my tin, hold on. I don't have it on me. My individual gummies are 4. You're telling me this is
I buy them in 20s and I cut them in quarters.
Maybe mine are 20s. Or
Yeah.
no, maybe no.
Five is
like
a
12s.
normal number. Like I'll have 5s.
So
Yeah.
5. So 100 is 20 times 5.
I once took a 20 and then spent 9 hours watching Mr. Red reruns on YouTube.
Okay, then mine are
Yeah.
4s. Like
So-
mine put me to bed, but and they make it so that I can't think in a straight line, but that's it.
Yeah, yeah. So
100 mil.
Tim had 100 mil and
What
4
size is
beers.
this? What size?
It was like bigger than a quarter.
Okay, so you can't sip it.
No. This was just like bam, gulp.
Yeah, this is like
So he has
a edible nuke.
Yeah.
yeah.
And he's a heavyweight.
Yeah.
He'll be fine,
Sure.
right? We thought.
In a couple days, yeah.
He has 4 beers on the train. We get to the Airbnb, sort all that out. We're like, hey, let's go to the suburban strip mall to get food for the Airbnb. And hey, there's a sushi buffet at the suburban strip mall. Great. We're gonna do that. So we do that. On the second round of the sushi buffet, Dustin notices that Tim is passed out. Phil notices Tim is passed out, and I'm like, yeah, that's Tim. He passes out sometimes when he gets too high. And then Dustin goes, he's turning blue. So we had to give Tim the Heimlich maneuver because he wasn't breathing or, like at all, completely unconscious, gave him a couple slaps, right? So, of course, then he comes to. We'd already called 911, the whole thing. We made him go. We made him go to the hospital.
What? This is last night.
This is last night.
We're talking on Friday. This is on Thursday night.
This is
the night you came in, or did you come in a little earlier?
We came in yesterday.
Amazing.
So Tim goes to the hospital. The ambulance takes him away. They give him an IV. Hey, he shows up at 8 o'clock looking great.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, looking
great. The thesis of the story is that Tim is currently undefeated in the tournament. He's number 1 seed.
6-0. He's locked. I think he's locked.
Yeah, he's locked. He can just draw in. Tim is running on every cylinder.
Wait,
right
what's
now.
he playing?
He's on Tide.
You're fucking kidding me. I couldn't play that stone sober with 15 hours of sleep.
Nope. Tim has. By the way, Tim does not play this format. He picked up the deck.
He's just like a lazy guy.
Yeah, he just did it.
He's like, no force of will. It's fine. I guess I'll leave man up.
Yep. So yeah, that is our story for this weekend.
Wow.
Just XO.
I'm sure you'll get a chance to retell it on the
Eternal Durdles podcast.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like people know, but people maybe don't know that you talk about pre-modern.
Yeah.
So let's plug a little bit
sure.
about your pre-modern talk and your engagement with the format these days.
So I've been playing pre-modern since that article that came out on Channel Fireball that first sort of introduced the format.
Okay, yeah.
I forget who wrote it. But that was back when like Counter Rebels was a deck,
of course.
Suicide Black was a deck, Burn,
Rip,
Cadaverous Bloom, which I played last year, was a deck.
Yeah,
I can tell you, it is not a deck.
Yeah.
So I started about 8 years ago, I want to say. Built up a nice collection. Everything was very cheap at the time.
Yeah.
I've been playing since then, and I got Phil involved with it. Maybe 3 years ago.
So, the story of my entry into pre-modern is he was like, "Hey, Parfait sounds like exactly the kind of deck you would love,
Yeah.
Phil. You like casting countertop.
Yeah.
You'll love casting Scroll Rack.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is awesome. I watched some games.
Yeah.
I should have watched some games. I'm watching all these elite players just crush with this deck. You're crushing with this deck. I'm like watching your stuff. Everybody's like, oh, this is sweet. Exactly what I wanted to be doing. I'm like, fantastic. I order my land taxes. I'm so hyped.
Yeah.
As my land taxes are in the mail,
Oh my God.
it gets banned. It arrives as an unplayable card in my mailbox. And I've been trying to recreate it ever since. And now I'm asking you for Oath of
Allegiance advice. Yep. That's how we started this conversation. My guy Phil pulls up his phone, points it at Zach, and it's like, did you have this?
Oh, help me find this
Help
shit.
me find this? Like, what do we need to do to get this?
This card I definitely threw out in drafts of Exodus in like 1999.
And I will say I laid a little bit of groundwork. I did some Oath of Lieges with Oath of Druids, a little double Oath action. I tried to do like
It's called bothing.
The Oathis with the Mostis.
Both this, both Oath.
Both Parfait.
Yeah, and I tried a little bit of everything, and I haven't cracked the code yet. But Undiscovered Paradise, Mox Diamond, Islands, Gushes, Thwart's getting in there too. Days is getting busy, and then Armageddon, of course. But what do you do the rest of the time?
I mean,
Now you've got Gaia's Blessing. Now you got Swords of Plowshares. You're like in those other moments where you're like, now you got a stew going, and your pot's just fucking overflowing and spilling on the floor, and you're just like,
And you're like, but this stew
licking
tastes
it
so
up.
good.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
so good.
You're just like,
it tastes delicious.
you're just like too deep in the sauce.
Yeah,
all of a sudden you're swimming in the stew, and then you're just like, I promise there's a stew here. There's a stew here. You show somebody the recipe, and they're just like, did you just take a 100-milligram gummy? Like what? Like,
Literally, the question everybody is when do we get to eat? And I'm like, I'm cooking.
yeah. I'm
And
cooking. I'm cooking. Get out of the kitchen. It'll be ready when it's ready.
It's ready when it's ready.
Yeah.
So what do you want today?
I played Blue-White Dreadnought today.
Blue-White Dreadnought.
Yeah. I put a Masticore on my sideboard.
How's it been?
Spicy.
The Masticore has been great. The rest of the deck sucks. No, the rest of the deck is fine. I mean, I played against, out of 6 matches, I went 3-3. Played against Goblins twice, Terrageddon, Pit Rack, Psychotog, and Elves. I played against 6 decks. I wouldn't say they have great Dreadnought matches, but I have 6 against 6 decks where it's somewhere between 40 and 60, right? And like, if you want to have better than 3-3 record at a tournament, you kind of want a few of those decks to fall over. And I think the advertising finally worked. I think we were like, don't show up to this tournament if you don't have a deck that beats Phyrexian Dreadnought deck. And people just were like, okay.
My
They
Phyrexian
understood
Dreadnought
the
deck is going
assignment.
to
Does that mean you can audible tomorrow?
Yeah, so I think I'm going to try to publish these voice memos tonight, but I'll spoil it. I mean, I guess don't quote me. If I have a crisis of conscience in the next like 5 hours, then don't hold me accountable. But I think tomorrow...
We could be bothing.
Tomorrow, no, we're not bothing because we don't have the material for the soup. Like we're just
true. That's
we're just
been
writing the
the whole
recipe, but we forgot to order chuck from the butcher and brine that shit overnight. So it's gonna have to be for another day. But band survival tomorrow, I think I'm gonna lock it in. And listen, I put a Masticore in my deck, and BK was like, "Do you want a John or Kai Masticore?" They're both gold bordered. And I was just like, I wish we were playing on Sunday. I'd take the Kai, but we're playing on Friday and Saturday, so I took the John. And look, John didn't let me down, but
Have you considered playing 2 Masticore?
I was thinking about one John, one Kai, and one of the third guy who also has a gold border Masticore for good measure. But yeah, no, I mean, it was crazy. Like in the Dreadnought sideboard, like you're like, oh, I can't beat on these creature decks. I was like, okay, we'll just cast a Masticore. Can they beat that? It's like, they can naturalize it because that's what they're planning to do to your Dreadnought. But like, they can't do a number of other things. And also, if you have 6 mana, they can't naturalize it. And like, you can Vision Charm your Masticore too.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, and then when you untap with it, you kind of win, and then you don't have to cast, like you don't have to like have stuff and like, you know, obviously that's like, it's a little bit of tension, but I thought it was at least interesting, and I've been enjoying it. So, yeah.
My best play today was I got to opponent played a Dreadnought and Vision Charmed it, and I misdirected the Vision Charm to my Black Vice.
Yeah. Yeah.
It felt good.
Yeah. That does feel
I
good.
did win a game with a Morphling today as well.
Okay. I think that's good, because you tell me you board out the Stasis and then board in the Morphling.
Yeah, against most Stasis decks, that's what I do. But I this was just Dreadnought versus Stasis. So I realized that they were going to bring in like powder kegs and stuff to get rid of my.
You can have a little bit
And I
of
was
both.
just like-
yeah.
But I need to change a couple cards on my board and put in brain freezes because that's how I'm losing to these decks.
They're brain freezing you.
Yeah.
Well, then
And
why
I
don't you
can
just put Guy's Blessings in your deck?
I could do that as well. It's not a terrible idea. It's also like I could just play.
You need 3 though, because they'll just
Yeah,
they'll draw
I will
one,
draw
they'll
them.
stifle the
Yeah.
other.
I can tell you, Guy's Blessing is the first ingredient in most boating stews. Yeah. It's a
Of
really
course.
good base.
Of
Yeah,
course.
that's the roux, man. That's the roux in the gravy.
I'm living large on pyroclasms in the sideboard right now.
Yeah, I like
That's where I'm
it. I
living.
dig it. Oh, what about a little Dromar's? No, not Dromar's. Caldera. No, not Caldera. Croesus'
lair?
Catacombs.
Oh yeah.
That synergizes with Stasis a
It's
little bit.
actually not terrible.
Is that the lair?
Yeah, it's the bounce
Croesus
land,
Tyrant.
right?
Yeah, it's the Grixis lair.
Yeah. I've been just playing. I play one Reef main, and I have the lands that the Forsaken Cities.
Yeah.
I did lose a game against Goblins where I didn't get the red land, but like that's
Catacomb
gonna
it up.
happen. That's gonna happen.
Yeah.
You know.
Yo, so you guys know more about this than I do. Why is the tech Pyroclasm instead of going black for like Infest or Nausea?
Well, you would Nausea is 1, and then Infest is BB, so that's like.
So you're not doing BB, but like why? Like I get that Pyroclasm. Like is Pyroclasm sweeping up anything that?
Yeah, lots of things. Two is like a big break point. It's like for goblins, the big ones are 2s.
Okay.
The big one being Pile Driver, which has protection from blue.
See, I never know like
Yeah.
what I've never seen that card cast against me because they just go lackey and then I'm dead. So I
Yeah,
never
yeah.
actually see the follow up.
Yeah, there's like a lot of ways to lose to goblins, you know, in the pie chart. But lackey's like a giant piece of the pie, and then sometimes you never see the war chief lines and the other lines. What up? I'm recording a voice memo for the podcast. You want to say hi?
No, I'm good.
Do you have an Oath of
not
Lieges
good.
on you?
No.
All right.
Phil's over here hustling.
No, you don't. No, you don't. Do you?
No.
Bro, the stew was gonna taste so good.
Playgroup who's like convinced this is the tech.
I'm convinced right now that it's the tech. I have no games and I can't find a copy.
I'm never gonna hear this card outside of my buddy Luke telling me that he's our blue-white control game.
Is he here?
No, he
Yeah.
couldn't come out.
It's like,
Actually kept this
but you're telling me
He dunked on
you're like,
again.
I need you. Phil, the first thing I'm gonna do.
He was here.
First thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to my Airbnb. When I get back to my Airbnb, which could be past midnight, I'll tell you if they're in the box.
Amazing.
But I don't think they're in the box. So
Don't hold out any hope.
like just entertain the idea that you could spend between like 12 a.m. and 2 a.m. working this out if you get the green light. But yeah.
Yo, this
And
is
TOA doesn't have them.
Here's the thing, man. Spoiler alert. Today's my birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday.
Appreciate you guys. And Tim almost died last night, and
Yeah?
now he's 6-0.
Yeah.
Like,
So you should take a gummy and 4 beers.
that's what I'm saying. I'm about to be like, all right, I'm going to keel over, and
Yo,
then tomorrow
let's
you're going
all
to give me an
take a
oath of
gummy.
allegiance,
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
I'm going to run this thing.
Everything's the run good. Like, look, you gotta get down to the lowest depths.
Yeah, oh,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
You got to listen
Yeah.
to the podcast.
Yeah,
today.
you'll listen to the podcast. Look, just for the 1,000th time, why is it that we fall Master Wayne? To get back up.
Yes.
Yeah, that's why we fall.
That's why we play.
Yeah,
I'm hoping to get back up with an oath of allegiance.
Don't.
Yeah.
When you lose, don't lose the lesson.
yeah. That's 1 trillion%. That's actually what's been happening to me today. I'm like, you know, in poker they have this like saying that like any individual cash game session is not a session. Like every cash game you play is one long session.
Okay.
So like, don't be like, I'm up, I'm down over 2 hours, I'm up or down. You gotta be net up on life, brother.
Hard agree.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyways, with that, Spike Colony, Eternal Durdles crossover.
Hell yeah.
Find them in all the places that you find them. But YouTube is kind of like kind of the hype because
That's
we get to see our
become.
faces.
Yeah. You get to see what we look like.
Yeah.
And you get to see where Phil is this week.
Yeah, who knows where I end up? I record from everywhere.
Fair enough. Love to see it. All right. Well, I'm sure we'll talk again soon.
Hell yeah.
For now,
Yeah, we
that's
definitely
voice
will.
memo. That's a fun voice memo. These are random.
Yeah.
Like the first 3 are like match recaps for me. They're just completely solo. And then I'm just going to do this one in. And then like, I don't know what's going to happen next. The viewer won't know. The listener won't know. So it'll be a good time.
Yo, let's make this a journey. So when you're going through the box, if you see the oath of allegiance, you just got to turn on the
Yeah, I was just be like, hey. And I'm dude, like Radio Lab. Like, do you ever listen to podcasts with like good production?
Yes.
You know?
Well, Not ours.
Yeah, of course, not mine either. So like when the like journalist is like so good at podcasting, like they're just so good at like narrating the thing that's happening to them, and you're like, hey, so I'm outside, I'm working on it, and it's just like, oh my god,
Bro, where live
journalism.
So I went to the guy's house, and then I knocked on the door, and it's like. Knock, and then then their conversation's happening, and you're
Brings
like,
you in.
"Wow, man, you really spent some time on this."
I'm gonna riffle through the cards. I'm gonna make sound effects. I'm gonna be like, what is it? I'm gonna slowly reveal one in a dub. So slide it over. Oath of lieges, and then
that's it.
It turns out it's actually
and then
the scholar.
Oath of scholars.
Where will lie, and then census.
Yeah.
Just explain the census.
Absolutely.
Explain the 5 census.
This smells like
here we are sitting outside the Dante Alighieri Center. It smells like smoke, and the reflection of the brick in my eyes in a nice summer evening is making me feel at home.
Yeah, and then as soon as I go in,
Oath of Lieges,
yeah, absolutely. And then we're just gonna go inside. It's gonna smell like pizza and sweat, and it'll be great.
Yeah.
But bathroom so far, not completely wrecked. Not annihilated.
Yeah. Day one. Yeah.
I think for the most part, the pre-modding community as a whole is pretty respectful of each other.
Yeah, I would hope so. But like, last year, well, whatever. Be nice to the bathrooms.
Yeah.
I think that it's like tricky because like I think the meta is to protect the shitters. So I think every action should be followed by lifting the seat. So actually, if you shit, you should lift the seat. Because the next person's a pisser. And if you're a pisser, you come in and it turns out the seat is down, lift the seat once again to completely protect the shitter
I've never thought about the bathroom metagame until now.
Yeah, well, it's different, right? Because normally if you're a pisser, you should put the seat down because of courtesy. But at a 300-person event, you should like just lift the seat. Then after you shit, lift the seat. And then just like protect the shitter.
Feet on the toilet, hands on the toilet,
Chair
and
pose.
just yeah.
All right. Second sign
Work
off.
that plank.
Protect the shitter meta. This has been voice memo number 3 or 4 or something. Thank you. All right, Lobstercon side event. Round 1. I'm up against Rob McCoy. Furnace Scamp on the play. I have the play. He mulls once. I mull twice. We start off. He's got Opt Portent. I've got some cantrips, island. We pass back and forth. Going into turn 4, I have island, and like in a dark art waste or something. And I go gush, and I have combo in my hand and meddling mage. And at this point, I think he's on Stifle Knot. So I go Phyrexian Dreadnought, and then he goes Counterspell Phyrexian Dreadnought. And I'm holding a counterspell in my hand that I can use, or I have Meddling Mage. And so I think he's on Dreadnought. I let the counterspell resolve. Dreadnought goes to the graveyard, and I play Meddling Mage around Daze. Because he's tapped out, obviously, so that Daze is the only thing he can have, or like foil or whatever. He lets it resolve. I name Dreadnought. The next turn, he plays his 4th land. It's a swamp, and then he just casts Psychotog. We play a little bit of back and forth, and it's tough, but he eventually gets there. He's like AKing for 4 by the end of the game. Game 2, I get a Meddling Mage down. I name Smother. It gets some attacks in, and he's finally able to remove it with a powder keg. We fight for a bit, and then I eventually get through an Armageddon because he goes for Psychotog and he taps out to protect it. I plowshares it and then plowshares it again. He taps out to protect it. He only gains 1 life there. And then I untap and I go Gush Armageddon. And he goes Gush, but he's got like 1,000 cards in hand. And I'm Armageddon 3 black sources. So it's a pretty tasty Armageddon. He didn't see it coming. Eventually after the Armageddon, I'm able to get a mage down. But before I get the mage down, he casts a powder keg, and I'm holding disenchants, but instead I daze the powder keg. I hard cast a daze on the powder keg when I could have disenchanted it. So that was one mistake, because eventually that Daze could have caught a counterspell because he had so few lands. And then the second thing that happened was I played a meddling mage. I had to choose between naming Smother and Psychotog, and I named Smother because I figured I could draw towards Swords of Plowshares to deal with Psychotog, in addition to like the foil counterspell, whatever I had in my hand. And eventually he finds Psychotog, and I can't deal with it. And he takes the match, but I don't even know if we could have made game 3 in time. Round 2, I'm playing against Cole Bagley or something like that, and I'm on the play game 1, and he just has a draw with only naturalizes and no goblins. And so I like Meddling Mage War Chief, and I kind of just like, chill, and then eventually beat triple naturalize. Game 2, he has Tinkerer, we have some back and forth, and but at this point I didn't even like see any sideboard cards, which is super weird. He just kind of got goblins down, so we just like played an attrition game, and he just kept jamming goblins, and I had to counter all of them until like I had nothing. And then eventually goblins started resolving, and I lost. In game 3, I mulliganed once. I mulliganed once in game 1 resolve. In game 3, I mulliganed once, and my first hand was like Island, Gush, Foil, some uncastable spell, like a Plowshares. Yeah, it was a Plowshares. So that draw didn't beat Lackey. My next draw, I go Island, he goes Lackey. I play a Meddling Mage. I name Pyroblast. He plays Mog Fanatic, and I boarded one Daze back into the deck, and so I dazed the second Mog Fanatic as I had the single Daze in my hand, and then he decides to 2-for-1 my Meddling Mage anyways, and so he swings the Lackey in and kills it with the remaining Mog Fanatic, so I kind of get a 3-for-2 on that turn. Eventually I get another Mage, and he can't get any traction going. My Mage is naming Ringleader, because my Mage was going into his turn 4, and it's naming Ringleader, and he's just drawing lands or 1/1s against my Meddling Mage. So I just end up 1-for-1ing him until my Mage attacks kill him. I should have started attacking earlier. Another thing was I played Masticore with 1 open mana, and he overloaded it, but I was like so ready for him to naturalize it that I just didn't Blue Blast the overload. And my Masticore could have just like resolved it into the game on the spot, but I just like let the overload resolve. I looked down at my hand like 30 seconds later, and I'm like, I just have this Blue Blast last year that I could have used on the overload. So a weird procedural punt. And I also had a weird procedural punt where I kept the hand that I thought was Island Flooded Strand, and the hand I kept actually had Basic Plains Flooded Strand when I looked back down at it. So I had a visual bug. So I'm thinking I need to change the plains into something that's more obviously different than my islands, because the plains and islands are starting to look the same as me. So far, good matches, but I'm playing super sloppy, and hopefully round 3 treats me better. But round 2, vibes are good. I feel like in good mood, but yeah, I'm not playing great. So that's okay. I've got a full stomach and I'm hydrated. It's just how things go. We've concluded round 5, so I got to do 3, 4, and 5. Round 3 is kind of an easy one. My Terragon opponent had in game 1 2 Nimble Mongoose and no Threshold for a lot of turns and not a lot of mana sources. So I was pretty easily able to just play Dreadnought with backup, with lots of backup, and that was the end of that story. In game 2, I just completely played insane and weird. Like the interesting part was he gets a turn 2 Terravore, that's a 2/2, and I have the choice to like fetch and play Meddling Mage, or not fetch to grow the Terravore, and I have a Dominate in my hand. And so I fetch and play Meddling Mage, I name Terravore, and then I wait until I have 6 mana to dominate this guy. And he reprisals his own Terravore, which was at exactly 4 power at that time. So definitely solid 2 for 1. But then I just forget that my meddling mage is on Terravore and he's got a bunch of cards in hand, and I'm like playing scared of all these cards in hand. And so I'm like navigating my like meddling mage. I'm not committing my Master Core because I'm worried about Swords to Plowshares, even though my meddling mage is killing him and he should have just cast Swords to Plowshares as soon as he drew it. And then I'm just like, well, what does he have in hand? Is it just lots of naturalizes? Should I wait to play Master Core with protection? And then at the end of the game, he's just like holding a bunch of Terravore. And I'm like, oh yeah, meddling mage is naming Terravore. So yeah, and some important U action. But yeah, I was like playing around everything instead of like thinking more about shortening the clock and like not letting him draw out of the spot. Then I go up against round 3 against Cody, and he's playing Pit Rack. And in game 1, I portent him twice, and each time he's got 3 discard spells on the top of his deck. This is after I play a dreadnought. So I like go dreadnought, like portent you, and there's just like a bunch of duress, funeral charm. My hand was pretty low, so funeral charm would matter, and bottomless pit type stuff. And he's got like 3 cards in hand, and I'm like trying to figure out if he needs discard plus answer or whatever. And so I portent shuffle him twice, and he can just Cabal Therapy. He blind hits counterspell, and then sticks the smother after having just taken 1 hit from Dreadnought. From then it just kind of grinds out. In game 2, so I didn't reveal any white cards that game. So in game 2, I boarded out the entire Dreadnought stuff. He duresses me on turn 1, and I show him like a bunch of a Darkar Waste meddling mage stuff. And so he, it was like, oh my god, it's a jump scare. And I'm like, holy Pecula. Anyways, I also took the draw that game, which was kind of a fun thing. Problem was he was playing Snuff Out, Diabolic Edict, and Smother, so that is like really annoying for my meddling mage deck, but I actually just had a meddling mage beatdown game. And then in the third game, there was a super weird sequence where he kind of has some pressure. He has a Scaring Scourge, but then he plays a Hypnotic Spectre that blows up his own Scourge. But I didn't realize that it was blown up until later. And so at the end step, I just kind of throw a Disenchant at the rack because I'm trying to relieve the clock. And then I like realized that the Scourge should be sacrificed. And so then he sacrificed the Scourge, and then I like top deck Swords to Plowshares. And so I managed to clear the board except for a Ravenous Rat. And then he untaps and plays Phyrexian Arena, and I'm like, I just didn't need to disenchant the rack. I had 3 lands in play. But I was worried that I needed all my mana to deal with Hypnotic Spectre and Scourge, so that's why I disenchanted end step instead of after my draw step. I think that ends up losing me the game. I don't know. Obviously, Arena tends to take over the game. And I had like one weird angle where I'm like cast Flash of Insight, and I did it after I cast Armageddon instead of like casting Flash of Insight to try to find Gush to do before I get Armageddon in. But it's always tough because if I have Armageddon in hand for one hand, he's going to Phyrexian Arena, probably draw a card that interacts well with Armageddon or just like discards Armageddon. So that was a tough loss, but yeah, I should have just held up Disenchant. But you know, honestly, I just thought my only targets were Mistress Factory, the rack, and Bottomless Pit. So the Arena was a little bit of a surprise. Then I play against Goblins again, and I'm on the draw, and I pretty much just have it. After getting ported a little bit, there was like no lackeys involved, nothing fancy. But then in game 2, I'm kind of in an interesting spot where I'm up against, there's kind of normal stuff, cantripping, like whatever, Rishon Port getting involved. And I'm in a spot where I have a Dreadnought. I've attacked once into my opponent's, so I get Dreadnought. Then I get Dreadnought against a board that just have Goblin War Chief. Then my opponent casts Siege Gang Commander, and so I let the Siege Gang Commander resolve, and I untap with Dreadnought, or I untap with the Dreadnought for the first turn. Then I have Dreadnought. I attack, get him down 7, and then my hand has a foil and a Source of Plowshares, but no island and no white source, and so I impulsed for that. I impulsed for a choice between Gush and Source of Plowshares. And I end up tanking really hard and taking the Gush. And then my opponent plays the only sequence I wasn't playing around or wasn't thinking about, which was Goblin King into Goblin Piledriver. And so the Goblin King and Piledriver meant that I had to counter one of them. And the way he did it was he played both cards at the same time. So obviously I got to think about it, but I was just like, I'll just counter the Piledriver. I didn't think too hard at that point. But the Goblin King meant that he had like 15 power and play, but I still had the Sword Splash shares because I hadn't like taken it as my insurance. I took Gush as my insurance. So instead, I go to my draw step and I have like a bunch of looks at a white source, and I just draw the white source, but I could have impulsed for it, and then that let me attack Apollo, Goblin King, and the match versus my opponent. So kind of proud of. I'm not proud of like punting here and there, but I'm also like using this as a process to like try to improve my process and just think about playing the best I can. I think the deck is honestly pretty solid. My Masticore is Masticoring. I got him down against the Pit Rack opponent. That's how I won game 2. And honestly, I'm thinking about playing 2 in the deck because it really kind of changes what you can do. So obviously, you would maybe need more card advantage. But yeah, that's match 5. We're going to go into match 6, and we'll play it until we stop having fun.
Anyways, lost match 6 to Skyshroud Poacher Elves. We were having fun, but we had even more fun joining the commentary booth. So that's what happened at the end of our day 1.
Game over.